All right, so get this.
Okay.
Real estate deal gone wrong in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
Pretty wild stuff.
I know, right? It's like something straight out of a movie.
But here's the twist.
There's a twist.
AI might be involved.
Whoa, hold on. AI. Like artificial intelligence.
You got it.
So we're not just talking about a regular real estate dispute here.
Not even close.
This has the potential to be a real game changer.
Okay, so let's back up a bit.
Yeah.
The case involves this woman named Mrs. Frye, who agreed to sell her condo back in 2014 for $625,000.
Sounds pretty straightforward so far.
Right, but she's been fighting this sale ever since.
So what's the holdup? What's her argument?
Well, initially she claimed she didn't read the agreement and was somehow misled.
And where did this all go down?
So it gets even more complicated.
Okay, I'm listening.
The case has bounced between courts in Michigan, where Mrs. Frye lives, and the Cayman Islands, where the condo is located.
I see.
And to make matters worse, she's
Ah.
actually lost at every level in the Michigan courts.
So she keeps appealing.
Exactly. And that's where things take a really interesting turn.
I'm all ears.
This latest appeal in the Cayman Islands,
Yeah.
it's different.
Different how?
Well, for starters, she submitted all these new documents.
New evidence.
Maybe, but here's the catch. The judge found some glaring errors in these documents.
Like what kind of errors?
We're talking citations to legal rules and cases that just don't exist.
You mean like completely made up?
It appears that way.
Wow, that's a bold move, especially in court.
And that's exactly what raised red flags for the judge.
I bet. So what did they do?
Well, they started asking some tough questions
About...
the possibility of AI being used to generate these documents.
Whoa, okay, now things are getting really interesting.
Right, so now the big question becomes, did she knowingly submit false information to the court?
So we need to find out if she knew these documents were bogus when she submitted them.
Exactly. And it gets even trickier because she claims she had help from a law student who used a computer program to generate some of the text.
So she's saying she wasn't aware of what the student did, or even if AI was used.
You got it. But I have to admit, it's a little hard to believe.
Yeah, I can see why the judge might be skeptical.
The judge basically called her out, highlighting how serious it is to submit false information to the court, whether it was intentional or not.
You can't just mess around with the legal system like that.
Exactly. There are consequences.
So what happened? Did the judge throw out her appeal?
Well, they refused to grant her leave to appeal.
Meaning?
No do-over. Her case won't be reconsidered.
Wow. So that's it. Case closed.
Not so fast. Issue estoppel was
Oh.
definitely a major factor.
Right, that whole you've already had your chance to argue these points thing.
But you can tell the AI aspect definitely played a role in the decision.
I can only imagine. If I were a judge and saw those AI-generated errors, I'd be questioning everything.
And this feels way bigger than just one woman in her condo, you know?
You're right. This case raises some huge questions about the role of AI in our legal system, like who's responsible when AI goes wrong.
That's what I find so fascinating about all this.
It's like we're entering this uncharted territory with AI.
And we're all just trying to figure it out as we go.
It's both exciting and a little bit scary, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like, we all use AI in our everyday lives.
Think about it.
From simple things like autocorrect.
To spam filters.
But this case really makes you wonder, where do we draw the line?
Especially when it comes to something as important as the law.
Exactly. We rely on legal documents and the judicial process to be fair and accurate.
It's the foundation of our entire legal system.
And this case is like a cautionary tale.
Like a warning sign.
A glimpse into a future where AI could really disrupt the legal system.
And not necessarily in a good way.
This Cayman Islands case is like a wake-up call.
A heads up to the entire legal community.
The judge is basically saying, be careful with this AI stuff, folks.
It's a warning shot across the bow.
It's a precedent setter for how the legal system is going to handle AI going forward.
We're all watching this case very closely.
So how do we prevent this kind of thing from happening again?
That's the million-dollar question.
Should there be, like, rules about using AI in legal cases?
It's not as simple as just banning AI from the legal system.
Right.
I mean, it has the potential to do a lot of good.
Absolutely. Think about all the people who can't afford a lawyer.
Right.
AI could make legal information and services more accessible and affordable.
Exactly.
But we need safeguards
Of course.
to make sure that AI is used responsibly and that the information it provides is accurate.
This case really highlights that need
for education,
Clear guidelines.
and maybe even some form of regulation.
It's all on the table right now.
So what would that look like in practice?
Well, imagine mandatory training for anyone using AI legal tools.
Makes sense.
Whether you're a lawyer, paralegal, or legal assistant, you need to know how these tools work, and more importantly, their limitations.
So basically, trust but verify applies to AI now more than ever.
Especially in legal settings. You can't just take the AI's word for it, especially when it comes to legal precedents and rules.
The stakes are too high.
The consequences of getting it wrong could be enormous.
So the burden really falls on the shoulders of legal professionals using these tools.
They have a responsibility to fact-check and ensure the accuracy of any AI-generated content.
But what about the companies developing these AI tools?
They also have a huge role to play,
They need to be transparent about how their AI works.
including any potential biases and limitations,
And they need to build safeguards into the technology itself.
like built-in fact-checking mechanisms.
Maybe some kind of warning system for potential inaccuracies.
Exactly. Think of it as a built-in BS detector for AI.
So we need both individual responsibility and system-level safeguards to ensure AI is used ethically and effectively in the legal system.
It's a two-pronged approach,
This case in the Cayman Islands could be a real turning point.
a catalyst for change.
It's making people aware of these issues.
And that's the first step towards finding solutions.
It's not just about avoiding the negative consequences of AI,
Right.
but also about figuring out how to harness its power for good in the legal world.
There's so much potential there.
Okay, so back to Miss Frye and her case.
Yeah. What's the latest?
Well, despite the judge's ruling, she's not giving up.
Really?
She's planning to appeal again.
Wow, this saga continues.
So this might not be over yet.
Nope, the story's still unfolding.
But regardless of the final outcome,
Yeah.
I think this case is going to have a lasting impact on how we approach AI in the legal system.
I agree. It's a landmark case, for sure.
And as AI becomes more accessible,
Yeah,
it feels like we all need to become more informed about its potential and its pitfalls.
absolutely. We all need to be part of this conversation.
This has been a real eye-opener.
It's fascinating stuff, isn't it?
So what's the one thing you hope our listener takes away from all of this?
I'd say the biggest takeaway is that we're at a pivotal moment in the evolution of AI.
We're on the cusp of something big.
And this technology is changing the world around us at an incredible pace.
The legal field is no exception.
It's being transformed as we speak.
This Cayman Islands case is just one example of the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
It's a microcosm of the larger AI revolution.
It's a reminder that we need to be proactive.
We can't just sit back and let the technology dictate our future.
We need to be actively shaping the future of AI.
And ensure it's a future that benefits humanity as a whole.
Well said. This has been a fascinating deep dive,
I've really enjoyed it.
and I'm sure our listeners will too.
It's definitely food for thought.
So, until next time, stay curious, everyone.
Stay curious. It really is. I mean, think about it. All this talk about AI taking over the world.
The robot apocalypse.
Yeah, all that.
Killer robots.
Exactly. But this case,
Yeah.
this shows how AI is already impacting our lives in ways we might not even realize.
Like it's not just about some distant future anymore.
Right. It's happening right now.
It's happening in our courtrooms.
In our legal system.
And that's why this case is so significant.
It's a game changer.
It's like this tiny little condo dispute in the Cayman Islands is suddenly at the forefront of this massive technological shift.
It's like a canary in the coal mine.
It's a sign of things to come.
And we need to pay attention.
Absolutely. So what can we do? How do we prevent this kind of thing from happening again?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Should we just ban AI from the legal system altogether?
I don't think that's the answer.
Why not?
Because AI has the potential to do a lot of good.
Right, like we were saying earlier.
Exactly.
It could make legal information and services more accessible to everyone.
Especially for those who can't afford a lawyer.
AI could level the playing field
It could help people navigate the complexities of the legal system.
without breaking the bank.
Precisely.
But, and this is a big but,
Go on.
we need to make sure AI is used responsibly.
We can't just let it run wild.
We need safeguards.
Absolutely. We need rules, guidelines, maybe even regulations.
So let's talk about that. What would that look like?
Okay, so picture this.
I'm listening.
Mandatory training for anyone using AI legal tools.
Interesting.
Whether you're a lawyer, a paralegal, or even a legal assistant,
Hmm.
you need to understand how these tools work.
Their strengths.
And more importantly, their weaknesses.
You need to know how to spot those AI hallucinations.
And how to fact check anything that the AI generates.
Trust but verify, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That old saying is more relevant now than ever, especially in the legal world.
Because the consequences of getting it wrong can be huge.
We're talking about people's lives, their livelihoods, their freedom.
So the burden really falls on the legal professionals using these tools.
They have a duty to ensure the accuracy of any AI-generated content.
But what about the companies developing these AI tools?
They have a responsibility too.
What kind of responsibility?
Transparency.
What do you mean?
They need to be upfront about how their AI works.
Okay.
About its limitations, its potential biases.
So users can make informed decisions about how to use it.
Exactly. And they also need to think about building safeguards into the technology itself.
Like what kind of safeguards?
Well, how about built-in fact-checking mechanisms?
So the AI could actually double-check its own work.
Exactly.
Oh.
Or maybe some kind of warning system for potential inaccuracies.
Like a little red flag that pops up and says,
I know.
hey, be careful with this information. It might not be accurate.
Exactly. Think of it as a built-in BS detector for AI.
I like that. A BS detector for AI. We definitely need that.
Because let's face it, AI is a powerful tool.
Extremely powerful.
But like any tool, it can be used for good or for evil.
It all depends on the intentions of the user.
And on the safeguards that are in place to prevent misuse.
So this Cayman Islands case,
Yeah?
it's like a wake-up call for the entire legal community.
A shot across the bow.
It's a reminder that we need to be thinking about these issues now.
We can't afford to wait.
Because AI is here to stay.
It's not going away.
And it's only going to become more powerful and more prevalent in the years to come.
So we need to start figuring out how to use it responsibly and ethically.
Before it's too late.
Before we end up in a situation where AI is controlling us instead of us controlling it. It's a slippery slope, you know?
I know, right?
1 minute, we're using AI to help us write emails, and the next minute, it's making legal judgments in court.
Like, where does it end?
That's the thing with AI. It's evolving so rapidly.
And we're just trying to keep up.
We're playing catch-up, for sure.
So for our listener out there who might be thinking, okay, this AI stuff is interesting, but how does it affect me?
Right. What's the takeaway for the average person?
Exactly. Like, why should they care about this AI case in the Cayman Islands?
Well, I'd say the biggest takeaway is that AI is already a part of our lives, whether we realize it or not.
Shit everywhere.
From the personalized recommendations you get on Spotify,
To the spam filters that keep our inboxes clean,
AI is working behind the scenes.
making our lives easier.
And as AI gets more sophisticated,
More powerful.
we're going to see it popping up in even more areas of our lives.
Like in our workplaces,
in our homes.
in our healthcare.
Even in our relationships.
AI is going to be everywhere.
It's inevitable.
So we need to start thinking about how we want to live with AI,
How we want to use it.
how we want to control it.
Because if we're not careful,
Yeah,
AI could end up controlling us.
it's a scary thought.
But it's a possibility we need to consider.
Absolutely. So what can we do?
How can we ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly?
It feels like such a huge task.
It is, but I think it starts with awareness,
With educate,
with having these conversations.
like we're doing right now.
Exactly. We need to talk about these issues, raise awareness, and educate ourselves about AI.
Because the more we know about AI,
The better equipped we'll be to navigate this new world
and to make sure that AI is used for good,
for the benefit of humanity.
not for its detriment,
Exactly. AI is a tool.
like any tool.
It can be used for good or for evil,
It all depends on the intentions of the user.
and on the safeguards that are in place.
So this Cayman Islands case,
As strange as it might seem,
it's a valuable lesson for all of us.
it's a reminder that we need to be vigilant.
We need to be informed.
And we need to be proactive in shaping the future of AI.
Absolutely. This has been a fascinating discussion,
I've really enjoyed it.
and I hope our listeners have too.
It's been a real eye-opener.
So, as we wrap up,
Yeah.
what's one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I'd say this: stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged in the conversation about AI.
Because the future of AI is ultimately in our hands.
It's up to us to shape it.
Well said.
Ah,
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, everyone.
stay curious.